Is there any rebuttal?
Yes, so I don't have that neat little chart, whatever you guys are looking at for the years. But
It's
you said
included in the agenda.
1982, and the single wide sitting there that is non-inhabitable is a 1971 model. So I don't know how that compares, but that just come to mind when he mentioned.
Would you like to look
82.
at my copy?
Please.
That's what I thought I saw. It's in the agenda.
Okay, so far, to summarize what we felt here today, is we would like to know if our options are open to appeal to the state level.
Well, we haven't made a decision on this one. Are you,
Okay, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm ahead of the game. Go ahead.
okay, so on the previous one, certainly you can appeal to the city. On this one, there's been no decision as of now. You're still in rebuttal, so if you have anything to provide. What I heard is one of the mobile homes was 1992, is your
98.
testimony?
One is 98.
One is
and the other
98.
one's a 71.
One's a 71, okay.
So can I get a clarification? This is something that I don't understand, is how, when you can look through the property, see the home, the year built, all this stuff, there's a column over here that says personal property tax. What is, in definition, personal property tax? So when I look at this picture of this home, that's everything there, I see assessed value, and I see nothing in the personal property tax. But yet I go and look at this over here, this one has it. Why is that, and how is that determined?
Okay, I think to answer that question, I'm gonna kick that to Bert.
Sure. So typically, most common when you're gonna see personal property tax, it's going to be in our county, mobile homes that are, have not been converted to real property. It's by far and away our most common personal property tax that you'll see on a parcel. The second most common is going to be business equipment. That's a personal property tax that's added, secured to a parcel. You can have airplanes. We have airplanes in the county, a dozen airplanes or so that we assess in the county. They can be assigned to, as a personal property tax on a parcel.
So if I could summarize, then you have real property and personal property. Personal property is everything that's not real property.
Correct. Yes.
Non-converted home.
Mhm.
is
Correct.
Why is personal property tax?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. And you're still in rebuttal. Is there anything else that you would like to present prior to us moving on? And you're not requesting server rebuttal?
No.
Okay. So now it goes to the board. You can have a discussion. Obviously, you can ask more questions if you have them. And either make a dispositive motion one way or the other to resolve the case, or you can take it under advisement.
I have a question. On this one example, Burton, the 98 and the 71, on the back of it there,
Yes.
and on this other, down there in the 1998, using that for example, I follow the numbers. What's the difference between percent depreciation and percent good?
So they're always going to total 100.
Okay.
So it's percent depreciation is it's depreciated 80%, And then percent good is, it's still, personal property in Nevada depreciates to what, depending on the type of personal property. On mobile homes, it depreciates to 20%, and then that's as much depreciation as, you get 80% depreciation, but it stops there. It doesn't ever go down below
So
there.
it always has 20% value.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
And so on anything purchased before July of '81 on a mobile home, it's that purchase price times 0.2, and that's your value. And it'll never change, you know, unless they change the law, I should say. But in theory, that'll be the value forever. On anything purchased after July of '82, like particularly on this 1998, if you look at that, you have a cost index. So you take that depreciation, which will still be the same, and it caps at 80%, so you always have 20% goods, but then you have to multiply by this cost index, which is to account for inflation in building materials, costs of buildings. So you're always getting 80% off, but they're kind of adjusting that purchase price, in a sense, with that cost index. So that's why you see it gets bigger as it goes older, typically. Some years it's a little skewed.
Sort of confusing, that 80-20, because, you know, if you took, in my simple thinking, that 80% right there, the value would really go down, you know, depreciate 80% of it.
Yeah, it is, and that's what it is. It's only, we're saying it's,
Cost.
it's 20% good,
Yeah.
because we've taken the 80% off.
Off.
Okay, all right, all right, all right. But that again, set beyond your control.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion?
Go through, well, maybe you have some more questions, Max.
No, I'm done with mine.
All right,
I'll make the motion to follow the recommendation of the assessor's office that no change be made to this property.
I'll say.
motion's been received, the second's been received, any further discussion by members of the forum? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried and so ordered.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. The next case are the previously consolidated cases. I'll call the first and last, and they will be the cases as presented in the agenda. This will be case number 23-04, George C. Chachas Trust, residential property, parcel number 001-146-01, respondent White Pine County Assessor, through and including all through case number 23-20, George C. Chachas Trust, property type vacant land, parcel number 010-490-05, respondent White Pine County Assessor. So first we'll take the summary of the appeal nature of the case from the assessor.
All right, thank you. So this appeal encompasses 17 parcels in and around Ely, Nevada. The parcels are a mix of residential, commercial, and vacant. All the properties are recosted or reappraised for the 23-24 tax year. No factors were used for the improvements of the land, no adjustments made to the land value. The parcels have no negative factors to consider. Marshall and Swift valuation and the Nevada Rural Manual used to appraise improvements in accordance with the Nevada Administrative Code. These include the Western Region and Lincoln County local modifiers as approved by the Nevada Tax Commission. Summary of the parcels, their corresponding land value, neighborhood, and taxable land value are attached in Exhibit 1. The parcels' assessment notices, imagery, and plat maps are also attached in Exhibit 1. The appeal, Mr. Chachas submitted all of his appeals for the 22-23 unsecured roll, which is incorrect because we're not discussing any personal property. We believe he intended for the 23-24 secured roll. Mr. Chachas is appealing under NRS 361.356. my property is assessed at a higher value than another property that has an identical use and comparable location to my property. He's appealing the land value for all properties. He submitted no evidence at the time of his appeal to support his opinion of value.
Okay, and with that, we will turn to Mr. Chechis, and you have the floor to make argument, present evidence, and explain evidence that you have submitted.
Okay, I brought forward that on more than one occasion I've been discriminated against. There was comment earlier about I didn't go to Department of Taxation with that hearing. I made 3 calls. I had a conflict with the VA appointment. 3 days in a row I called. 3 days in a row I got an answering machine. To this day I've not received 1 call in response to rescheduling. I asked, instead of going to Carson City, that I was able to go to Las Vegas. No, nothing. So, do you want me to show everybody here? I kept the record on my phone, but that's up to you folks.
Well, the evidence that is pertinent for today's appeal is evidence that shows that your land was overvalued in this tax assessment.
Okay. My land is overvalued. When one can't use their property, when one makes an effort to get permits, obtain variances, can't get them, then the property is worthless. You can't use it. I'm just paying taxes, and that's got to stop. On number 1 of the presentation that I gave you, I was voicing a consideration. I got flipped out by Mr. Allwood.
Okay, so I had a question on this.
Sure.
Is this evidence that your property is overvalued?
It relates to the buildings on my property, that's correct. When there's no,
I need you to explain, so the reason why I'm asking this question, I'm not trying to pick on you, George.
all right,
What I'm trying to do for the board is help them understand the value of the evidence and how it weighs in to show or not show that the property was overvalued. So when I was reviewing this, I couldn't find the relevance of this picture for the valuation of your properties. Can you explain that?
yeah, if I'm not allowed to use my property, if I'm not allowed to voice a concern before any public board, and I get flipped off, there is no value to the property, period. I make an effort to present the case, and I'm turned away, and I'm flipped off. Not gonna happen.
Okay, again, I don't see the value, I don't see the relevance of this picture to the assessor's valuation of the property.
Well, in relation to that, let me go back to the fact that the assessor sold, or through the assessor, the county sold those lots for $7.70.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just trying to identify relevant and potentially not relevant evidence. That, I understand that argument, but with relation to this picture, does this have anything to do with the assessed value of your property?
Other than the fact that I'm not able to use it, no.
Okay. The next picture looks like a picture of former President Barack Obama.
Yeah, and I'm getting insulted by Mr. Allworth.
Is that relevant to the assessed value of your property?
Shouldn't be,
Okay.
but unfortunately it is.
Well, if you think it is, you can explain that.
Yeah,
Relevance means it goes to tend to prove or disprove a claim. So if your claim is that the property was overvalued.
yes.
So if you can describe how that picture tends to prove or disprove the claim.
I'm being treated unfairly. The valuation is just not there. And I don't need pictures like this sent to me.
Is that, is it your assertion that this picture was a part of the assessing process?
No, not in this case.
Okay, so this doesn't go to prove or disprove the value of the property.
That's correct.
The next one is and if I'm dragging this out, guys, you can certainly cut me off. These are just questions I had. The next one is, it looks like a citation.
That's correct.
This one I was also confused about how that goes to prove or disprove the appropriate valuation of your property.
I tried to rent that particular parcel, and I got a citation that it was improperly zoned.
Okay.
Next to me, same situation, no citation. I brought that back to the new councilwoman. Is it a consideration for overvaluation? I believe it is.
Okay,
If
so,
I can't use the property, there is no value.
so your claim on this one is because of the zoning violation, your property should be valued less than it is being assessed at.
There was no zoning violation.
Sure, but because of the alleged zoning violation, that should be taken into account as far as the assessed value of your property.
That's correct.
Okay, so that one should be given the weight that it's due. The letter to, it looks like there's a letter to the mayor from former city attorney Charles Odgers.
That's correct.
Does that, what is the relevance of that to the assessed value of your property?
Basically, it just shows that I'm being treated differently by the clerk at that, not the clerk at that time, but Mr. Allworth. At
Okay.
that location was treated differently than others.
What we're here to talk about today is
Okay,
the
I'll give you
assessor's
that.
office.
I'll give you that.
Okay, so this doesn't,
No relevance.
okay.
Other discrimination.
Right, but not from, you're not alleging that the assessor is somehow involved in this letter.
Well, the assessor could have assessed that property of Mr. Allworth at a higher rate, did not, that I know of.
All right, those are the main questions I had. You can proceed, and I appreciate your indulgence in letting us those questions.
Okay. Let me go to number 4-2. In regards to the item talked about previously, Mr. Allworth was conducting private business. And if you notice on 4-2 in the upper right-hand corner telephone, he's using the city telephone number as his business. That's wrong. I can't do it for any, my properties. The assessor can't do it. I don't want to be assessed when we have blatant discrimination. Then I'm gonna go to, my cover letter, I'm gonna call it the cover letter. I'm protesting the value of different properties that are being presented before you. Again, the county commission sold 13 lots for a total of $100. When they did that, they set precedent for not following professional appraiser recommended values. I want equal consideration under the law. City of Ely will not allow me and my family to use the property as others do in the same area. Permits, if required, have been requested. To date, not one has been provided, excuse me. If the property, again, can't be used as others are allowed to use theirs, then there is no value. There's blatant discrimination taking place and it must be stopped. I want to go over to, the number to come out on this. I'm going to go back to my original, excuse me just a moment. Do the pages that you folks have, numbers on the upper right-hand corner?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 6.2 is the old Silver State Motel. You have vehicles of different time. I've asked if they had a business license. To this date, 2023, no response at all.
Does that tend to prove or disprove the assessor's valuation of your property being appropriate? And if so,
It does.
I would ask.
Evidently, they're using theirs, I can't use mine. That's all. Then 6-3 shows a RV being lived in at the Mount Wheeler pole yard. At that time, the council, through Mr. Allworth, he initiated, you could live in the RV or modular, RV or a motorhome during construction period if you applied for a permit. I asked for a permit for this particular location, none has been provided. I've asked for a permit for my properties, to this date, that's not been provided. Next page, 7-1, I've gone to the Regional Planning Commission, and and on the side, you see different dates, different entities, county commission, city council, where I've asked for them to consider what the planning commission has done. After that, first picture 7-2 shows Mr. Allworth's truck got water at his residence. Then the 7-3 shows the same truck at a greater distance, no permits, no application for a home occupation. There's a problem there. As my concerns got greater, he moved over to Pinwell Lane. Again, you need a permit, home occupation. None of that has been done. I've asked for that for my properties, I got nothing. When there is no value, I mean, there is no value if you can't use your property. On 8-1, on one of the properties, there was a motor home. I went to voice my concern and get license for it for my brother. The city attorney says, you gotta have a letter stating that you are in fact representing your brother. Pure baloney. Others are not doing it, yet I'm being picked on. If you go to 8-2, you'll see a fifth wheel on Keith Carson's property on the bottom end of Crawford. To this date, no permit has been provided, no utilities have been paid for that I'm aware of, yet at the second page, where that motor home is, that was on the property that I have. I had to evict that person because of so-called zoning. And we're talking maybe a couple hundred feet between the two. The next page, 8-3, another citation. Mr. Carson wasn't given a citation. Others weren't given a citation. George was, and one of his renters was. One of them was a veteran, was a phlebotomist at the hospital, moved the fifth wheel on there, and I told him, I'll apply for a variance. But let me tell you, lightning always tends to strike me. The person moved on there, wasn't there even a week, and they came and gave me a citation. I didn't pay it because the judge allowed me to evict him first. Selective enforcement, discrimination needs to stop. If you go over to 8-4, that's on Nevada Avenue, motorhome, comes and goes. Chuck Rogers, the former city attorney, said every time a property moves off, you gotta reapply for a permit, $165, George. That home came and went, no permit, I've asked. Second page, same property, only this time it's a fifth wheel. Where was a permit? I go to regional planning commission meetings, I go to city council meetings. In most cases, I've got more time attending all of those meetings than the board members combined.
Mr. Attorney, can I interrupt?
No, you
What does
can't.
that have to do with his?
Discrimination.
Nothing.
Yeah, so, yes, no, George,
I mean-
hold on, there's a question from the board, and they
Yeah.
are allowed to ask questions
That's
when you're
fine.
presenting. And that was kind of, I didn't want to totally belabor the point, but that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, is what we are here to consider is the assessor's valuation of the property. This, so if I'm to make the argument as well as I can, the argument is that Mr. Chachas is not able to use the property that in the way that he wants to use it, therefore it shouldn't be assessed at the value that it's currently being assessed. Is that basically?
As others, not just as George wants.
Sure.
I'm meeting.
Well, no, yeah, but what we're doing is trying to determine whether the valuation of your property is appropriate or not.
It isn't.
So what your argument is because you're not able to use it in that, the way that you want to, that it shouldn't be valued at that
That's right.
level, okay.
Don't
And that's-
compete against me by selling county property for
That's-
$7.70.
So that's a different issue, okay?
It's the
Now,
same.
no, we'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to clarify what's being claimed here, because when it goes to the state, they need to evaluate the claim and the reasonableness of the decision of this board,
Sure.
okay? So that seems to be issue number one. Issue number two is, and I'm gonna summarize it, but you tell me if I'm wrong. That because the county went through the process of selling land below market value, that it should therefore be assessed by the assessor at that value that the county sold and other properties like it. Is that your basic claim?
If the property owners can't use the property as others do, yes.
Okay. And these pieces of evidence and arguments are similar, if not exactly the same as the appeal from last year, is that correct?
All relevant, yes, sir.
Okay. So it is notable to the board and it is relevant to this, that last year the board affirmed the assessor's valuation. It went to the state and the state affirmed this board's decision. So that is, if there are not new facts, then that's relevant to this board in making the decision as precedent. But it doesn't bind, it doesn't tie your hands to not do anything if you do want to do anything. But these arguments have been made both at this level and the state level, and the assessor's valuation has been affirmed. And now I'm kind of getting to Mr. Oliver's comment earlier about the relevance and the kind of the repetitive nature. There is a right for the property owners to make this appeal every year. It does cost us money, but that's something that we have to bear. But you can consider previous decisions, especially when they're held by the state, for this. But that doesn't have to be the case. So you can proceed at this point.
Okay, if you'll notice on most of those pictures I have a date, it shows a continuous process from 2020, 2021, 2022, 23. Discrimination. Properties are being used, I can't use mine the same way others are. The zoning's the same. If I can't use it, there is no value, period. I'm not just gonna pay taxes just because the assessor, or you folks, or anybody else says, oh, the property's worth this much, George. Don't worry the fact that you as a taxpayer, through the county, sold property for $7.70 for affordable housing. Yet the two homes built in that area are over $400,000. If you're a silver spooner, filthy rich, $400,000 may be affordable housing. But if you're the everyday Joe on the street, no, it isn't. The county was misled, the citizens was misled, and I want equal consideration. If I'm able to use my property, I don't have a problem with paying the tax. But if I can't, don't expect me to just sit there and be dumb and happy. It's not gonna work. I want equal protection under the law, and I'm not getting it. From the assessor, from the county, from the city.
Thank you,
Find
George.
out about the state.
And if there are any questions for George at this time?
I got a question.
Sure.
You keep repeating yourself, you're being denied the use of your property. Give me an example in writing, a letter from somebody says you can't use X property for whatever you want to do, put a stillery on it or whatever. Show me that evidence, instead of just a lot of this. Wait a minute,
Give it up to me.
and I'm looking at the packet here. I don't know what all that you can't use your property means anything when lot is overvaluated. That's what we're here for, lot is overvaluated.
That's
What, again, you give me an example where you can't, you've been told by the law, by the city, the county, that a parcel, for example, let's just use the very first one, 490 High Street, as a home. Why can't you use it? Who's told you you can't use that house, that property? That's just an example, so don't think about it, George. Pick another one, anyone in there, down there in the corner by Carson's Field,
Yes,
where you got that old trailer wrapped in there.
yeah.
Who says you can't use that property?
Look
You
at the
can,
citations.
I know, that's what I'm saying, did you have to pay that citation?
No, because the
Okay.
people left. I had to evict them where the judge said I
But,
would
but
pay.
that property can be used, you can put a house on it, you can follow the law
Can't
and use
afford a
it.
house.
And you can follow the law and use that property, George. That's what, so that citation, it's the same citation in your evidence there, in two different places, same citation.
Hold on.
No, I don't, I just
I
want
want
an
to go
answer.
through here, and I'm gonna show you where you have a person using their property right next to mine, and there's been no application for a variance, no application for consideration, whatever the case may be, and within 5 to 10 feet of that situation, you got a double wide trailer.
So,
Okay, let's go back to my question. Where, give me an example, where you've been told you can't use your property, other than that one, you can use it, you just can't use it the way you wanted to use it, the way George wanted to use it, put that motorhome on it. That, no, you're saying you can't use your property, good heavens, you, all this document here,
Go to 10.
you haven't tried to do anything with it.
Go to 10-1.
My pages don't have numbers on them.
10-1 is,
Yeah, there's a camper and,
Yeah, there's two pictures on there. One is dated October 5th, 2022, corner of Avenue B and 10th Street. But I had a victim person that had something similar to that, more sophisticated. But this is just most recent. But the one I'm concerned about is the one to the other side. That is a little RV, been there for months. I think my brother had called several times that there was trash out in the alley and then coming over on my property, which I couldn't rent. How many times you gotta go to City Hall?
Bring the evidence, George, is what we need, instead of you're just sitting there telling us what you think. You show me in evidence that you are being told you can't use your property. But that's off the whole basis of what we're here for. Over